Welcome in to Trust the Process Live. It's 7:00, right? I'm not still on island time. Like we're right on time here, boys.
Yeah,
All right, good.
perfect.
All right. Good. As always, I'm your host here, James Hyden, here with my guys Doc Locke, Josh Saffron. How are you, friend?
Awful. Like,
Wow.
just terrible. I'm not
Wow.
gonna sit here and give you some phony baloney here, man. This sucks.
It's that rough of a month. I know Mondays are always manic, but it was not good.
This whole week is just a scheduled loss, and the Eagles were boom. What a way to start it.
Yeesh. The
Yes,
man
sir.
of he could either be 22 digits for however many points they scored, or 2 digits for the amount of wins. How are you, Max?
I'm all right. I had my moment of realization many weeks ago, so I'm
Yeah.
not nearly as distraught as Josh is.
So the come to Jesus moment already happened.
I mean, I had, it's the classic Malcolm in the Middle meme. I expect nothing and I'm still let down.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's about how it goes. So the Flyers are our last. They're our last hope anymore? They're like the Obi-Wan Kenobi last hope.
Listen, I mean, sure, it's true, but even them caused me pain this weekend. You know, I drop a few quid going to a Flyers game. I see a 4-2 loss.
A few quib.
I could
man.
have told you never. The Panthers, man, they own us. You know how Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. The Panthers do that to the Flyers for whatever reason. It's just
Panthers are a high scoring team there. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna get into why the Flyers are our last hope, and that unfortunately,
actually.
And unfortunately, boys, it means revisiting some of the failures that have brought us to looking at the boys who wear orange and black sweaters as our only hope. So, reason number one, and this comes in the form of a question: have your questions about the Philadelphia Eagles been answered? And Max, I want to come to you first here.
I mean, I there's still a lot of essay left to be written, but I mean the first third of this is consistent. My questions have certainly started to shape into answers that seem to be what's going to be the final product in terms of when we look back at the 2021-2022 season for the Philadelphia Eagles. The things that we criticize at the end are going to be the things that we criticize from week one. It's really starting to feel that way. So have my questions been answered to some extent? Yes. I know what kind of play caller Nick Sirianni is now. I know what kind of throws Jalen Hurts can and can't make in a third of a season sample size. But the questions of, is this team totally dead in the water? There's still a lot of time left. They do have the easiest part of their schedule still to play. Like, I had this thought earlier today that maybe one of the worst things that can happen is we have this huge stretch of divisional games and our easiest games in the last 6 weeks of the season. What happens if the Eagles finish hot and we're that spunky team going into next year? Like, could that possibly give too much goodwill to those that are undeserving of it? And those are the questions that I'm starting to ask myself now. Like, are we going to do this merry-go-round again of avoiding any major offseason changes because we can find a way to poke holes in the reasons why things went wrong? And I mean, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself thinking that far down the line.
I don't think you are.
Only I'm trying to keep as much positivity as I can here for the sake of everybody. But I think that we have seen enough to know that this is not good. What has happened so far this season is not good, and things have not really begun to change. Like the Miles Sanders injury, I'm sure we'll talk about. Like, I can't just be like, oh, Miles Sanders got hurt, and damn, that's the game plan's out the window, because you have to be able to adapt on the fly, and it's a mess right now. The Eagles are a bad team, and like I said, I expect nothing. I'm still let down every week. It's less inspiring than the week before. Every week they come out more dead in the first half, or they find a way to kill themselves, essentially, in terms of producing a competitive wire-to-wire game. And just for example, that Gainwell fumble before halftime, I've watched enough Eagles this year to know as soon as that happened, game over. That was it. The Eagles were dead from that point. I knew they were cooked.
So there's a darkest timeline that exists where the Dolphins pick notwithstanding, the Eagles grab a pick somewhere in the range of like 13 to 17, and then the Colts pick doesn't convert to a first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
That's still on the table.
At least the Colts are back on track for the playoffs.
Well, we'll see.
We'll
see. I don't. Dan Orlovsky is surely heaping out some praise there for the QB that will not be named, but I'm still not completely sold on those Colts down there from Indy. Josh, yeah, you're not going to put the typical spin on things. I'm thinking. So what questions, if any, have been answered for you?
Man, my questions have all been answered. And when I took this exam at the beginning of the year, I have F's across the board. I got every answer just about wrong except for Jalen Hurts. I'm not marking that one incorrect yet. This season is so over. You can so put a fork in it. I feel like I'm watching the movie Major League play out before my eyes. Like, there is no way this team was assembled to win. They assembled a staff and a roster that was meant for failure, and I was first in line and got a big red Solo cup of Kool-Aid, chugged it down and said, "Give me some more, Mr. Sirianni. Give me some more, Mr. Roseman. This is delicious." And then you start feeling it as it goes down your system. That is not good Kool-Aid, fellas. This is an absolute disaster. This is a team and a staff that have no idea what they are doing. This Raiders game was the most frustrating game I ever watched, to the point where once the second quarter came around, I didn't have to get very far into this game to give up. It was when you march down the field doing everything that the friggin' callers of 97.5 and 94.1 have been asking for. The run the ball, the maybe 93% of plays out of shotgun isn't a good idea. And you see it work so effectively on the first drive, and then to just go back to what you've been doing the entire season, everything out of the shotgun, a barrage of screen passes, and just saying, "Jalen, go be a magician out there, man." It's a recipe for failure. So yes, my question has been answered. My question was, is this team legitimately a contender for the division, a contender for a wild card spot? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I am the latest to get on that track. That's on me. That's absolutely on me. I hope that they lose these divisions, like not all of them, but I hope that they don't get hot at the end of the season. I want this to be bad. And I want to see change. The only thing that really sucks for me is after this game Sunday, Jalen Hurts is as good as gone. I don't think he had a horrible game on Sunday. The writing is on the wall. They are not going to stick with Jalen Hurts. They are going to make a package deal and get another quarterback in here no matter what. Everything is out there. The only question I have is, how are you call it rebuilding? What are you building with this current roster? Because I see little to no future right now with this current roster, right? We talk about guys like Max. I don't want to call you out here, but I'm pretty sure you spotlighted Zach McPherson as a rookie you were excited about to start this year. 2 snaps this entire season. He hasn't seen the field since week 1. How about that guy the Eagles just traded Zach Ertz for? What, Zay Gowan or something like that? Listen, I don't know anything about the guy. He's a rookie. He's a rookie cornerback. 0 snaps. Doesn't see the field. Like, what are you even building? You call it rebuilding, but I don't see what you're building. You're just bad. There's nothing here that I can hang my hat on or say, this guy can develop into something. These players, this team, this coaching staff, it's a joke. That's it. That's my spiel.
So I took a very college-esque approach to my so pop quiz on the Philadelphia Eagles was the start of this season. You know, that one where the teachers you hate, you walk in the first day of class and it's a pop quiz to see. Reading. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what we got. And I took the same approach I took in college. I answer the stuff I know and I leave the stuff I don't know blank.
There you go.
Now, the stuff I answered, and I think I was right. Nick Sirianni, this is about what you expected from a rookie head coach in terms of in terms of the results. Now how Nick Sirianni showed his work is not what you want to see. So I got the answer right. I get half a point off for the incorrect showing of the work. Jonathan Gannon, exactly the same thing. I got a half point off for not showing the work or showing the work incorrectly, and I left the others blank. And I left the others blank because they aren't answered yet. Jalen Hurts, let's go back. Let's go back to when he was drafted.
Sure.
He was drafted in the second round, and the narrative that they gave us was we see him as a very high-end backup, which is straight out of their mouth. That was 7 to 9 months after they had signed Carson Wentz to that new contract. Maybe that's just what he is. Yeah, I don't know, but we don't know the answer to that question because he's been done no favors at all. This RPO offense isn't even archaic. It's just not. It's not conducive to the NFL. That's why it's a college offense. That's why it's so simple.
High school offense.
Exactly. So he's not being done any favors. But what I will say is that first drive, when they actually used some form of a West Coast offense, which is supposed to be Nick Sirianni's calling card, they looked great. This is the first time, I'm pretty sure, that they used an actual play action set. RPOs are not runs. No matter if Nick Sirianni wants to count them as runs or not, they are not a running play. The first, when they actually did a play action set, put Jalen Hurts under center and did a play action fake, that's the stuff that needs to be done. And Jalen Hurts even said in his press conference afterwards, he gave the Raiders credit for sticking with what was working. And let's be honest, that was a backhanded shot at his coaches for them not seeing what was like. All right. Everybody knows 15 plays are scripted at the beginning of every half.
Yeah.
The Raiders saw what was working off of those 15 scripted plays and kept doing that. Nick Sirianni almost was reading two different books. The first book was the 15 scripted plays, and then after that, after he had no other thing in front of him, like the Cliff Notes ran out. He was doing a book report, the Spark Notes and Cliff Notes ended, so he just had to wing it for the rest of the game.
You got the wrong genre.
It's like he started like the book report was on like the Odyssey, and he just started writing about Moby Dick. Like he just came out of nowhere. Like it was just he just reverted right back to what he knows, which is just. It's not doing well. So Jalen Hurts, I've said all along, this is going to be a building season. This is about development. The answer isn't there yet. We can't answer a question we don't have the answer to yet. It's what it is. Devontae Smith, he is really the only solid building piece that I can see that is locked in for the future. He had a very uncharacteristic game with a couple of balls that he should have caught. I don't think that sticks around for long. I think that's more a product of outside kind of sources. It's got to be uncomfortable in this locker room when you have the responses that you're getting from Jalen Hurts and Fletcher Cox. It's got to be uncomfortable, especially for a rookie kid to come in.
Bannard, I thought about this comp today, and I think you'll like it because it's got the Phillies tie. Brandon Graham going out for the year, I think, is awful lot similar to Andrew McCutchen going out for the year a couple of years ago,
or Reese.
No, but for McCutchen, it's like more of a vocal way, right? Where it's like, oh, Kutch, he's on the older end of his career. Like, it's gonna suck to miss him, but he's not the best player. Like, you kind of say the same thing about BG. Like, I love BG. He's a better player than Kutch. But what I'm getting at here is like, you hear Fletch go and say something like that. Like, clearly that's the attitude he's giving off behind closed doors too to the other guys on the D line. Like. Say what you want about BG and if he's good or not, or like Fletch with the effort thing. Like BG's a leader, and he would have at least kept the guys going. I feel like with BG out, Fletch having to like being forced to be the quote unquote leader. Like you heard that press conference answer, and even if it's true, that's not the standard you want to be saying as the veteran leader of the defense.
I'll tell you what, BG might also be the best defensive end on this team.
Man, I think he might be too,
with how Sweat and Barnett are playing. Like I don't want to call myself a prophet, but I've been banging this Derek Barnett is a bust drum for years, and people got mad at me. Like there's nothing like, to me, what really nailed it across was Seth Joyner literally saying he's a bust, like just laying out all the reasons why he was, and it's just like I really like that comp actually, the Andrew McCutchen to Derek Barnett. Yeah. So I don't know. Did the questions get answered? Yes. Are there some questions I left blank because it's a pop quiz on the first day of school? Yeah. The finals inching closer every week, and I'll see if we can actually pencil some stuff in.
Yeah, but if you leave a blank on the exam, it gets marked wrong. So that's why I think Jalen Hurts is gone, because it is left blank. And I don't know. I can't help but feel like Howie's kind of happy it's left blank.
See, Jalen falls into this category of great fantasy quarterback and mediocre actual quarterback. Like, it feels he's like him and Taylor Heineke are, and he's higher end than Taylor Heineke, but they're running in the same boat right now. Like, it's they're fantasy wise, you either need them or you love to have them. In the real life, it's kind of like, we could be doing better here. But I'll quote it again. High end backup is the word straight from the horse's mouth.
I'll say this. I don't want to go too crazy here, but if we got Mr. Watson, if we got Mr. Deshaun Watson as an Eagle next year and Jalen Hurts in Houston, I'll be donning the navy blue and red for Mr. Number One over there.
Woof. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on. Second question here, Josh. Mount Rushmore of terrible Philadelphia coaches. Does Nick Sirianni fit on it? And if not, who is on your Mount Rushmore of terrible Philly coaches?
It's only 7 games, right? This, like, just 2-5, whatever, right? And we'll talk about Dan Campbell soon. But as I'd like to say, Dan Campbell has the safest job security I've ever seen in my whole life from a coach who's winless this far into a season, or a coach whose record is this bad far into a season. Forget about being 2-5 right now, which, it's horrible. It's the manner in which he goes about everything, whether it's on the field, whether it's off the field. Nick Sirianni is easily the worst coach I've seen in the city, other than Ryan Sandberg. Banners, is that a fair assessment?
I was gonna go with Rhino.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. If Ryan Sandberg wasn't so comedically bad, like, somehow he's worse than Nick Sirianni. But yes, Sirianni is certainly on this Mount Rushmore. I mean, say what you will about Philly sports since I've been alive, right? 2000 is the birth year for myself. Whether, not a lot of championships. There's 2 championships here. But the coaches have actually been pretty good across the board in just about every sport. I can't speak to hockey, to be honest, but even there, I feel like they've been at least decent. The Eagles coaches have all had their own wrinkles of excitement. You know what I mean? Andy Reid, when I was born, he got ran out of town, but that came after years and years of success, and clearly he's a good coach. Then we had good old Chip Kelly, who, one of the ugliest breakups we've seen in a long time here. But for a whole year, people were acting like this guy was revolutionizing football, and he kind of was. So Chip Kelly might actually be on that Mount Rushmore, but he certainly is not as bad as Nick Sirianni. You got Brett Brown on there for some people. He's not on there for me. I would put Doug Collins on there if I was going to put any 76ers coach on the Mount Rushmore. Now, I know that's more of a personal thing for me. I think Doug Collins is an absolute idiot. Nick Sirianni is the worst head coach I may have seen in recent football history. I wrote down a few quotes from him after listening to the press conference that happened just before here, and I would like to read them out. He was asked about, do you see improvement with this team? Which is a simple but very legitimate question. And I was like, let's see how this clown answers it. He gives the same answer I've heard him give just about every press conference. Quote, "We feel like we're getting better fundamentally." And then later he says, "Getting better is not a drastic jump, but it's little by little, day by day." Dude, I have not seen any improvement little by little, or day by day, or game by game. I see the same pig slop high school offense every week. I see no difference. I can see no improvements. Then he was asked about Miles Sanders and when he'll be back and if they're worried about him. He said, quote, "We have Jordan on the practice squad. We feel really good about him." That's just a bold-faced lie. Because if you really felt good about Jordan Howard, he would have been on your roster this entire season instead of Austin Scott.
And it's not like you use Miles Sanders anyway. So is Jordan Howard? I don't.
And then
is that your
last one? When asked about the Fletcher Cox incident, he responded with, like he was asked about, are you going to talk about that? And are you going to address the defensive issues that Fletch brought up? Great question. And Sirianni goes, well, we talk about everything. That's how he starts it off. And he goes, we're constantly working to get better, no matter if a player says something or not. That's not an answer. Every single freaking team in any sport is constantly working to get better. That's not an answer. The guy doesn't answer questions. The guy sounds like an idiot in the press conferences. And then we all watch what happens on Sunday. It doesn't look like NFL football. I can't understand how he got this job, Banners. Like, I really feel like there's something else going on here that is not related to the X's and O's or even the Jimmys and the Joes. It's about the Howies and the Jeffs.
Yeah. This one was tough because there were so many, and I kind of wanted to go like one head of the Mount Rushmore for each team.
All right.
But I don't know if anybody from the Sixers, like for me personally, I don't know if anybody like recently from the Sixers has been so bad to deserve a spot on the Mount Rushmore. For some, like it's just like it's like Brett Brown for all of his shortcomings. He did coach a couple 50-win teams. It's results notwithstanding. That is what it's a couple 50-win teams.
I mean, it's also like you almost never see a guy who coaches a 10-win team and then a 50-win team in the same tenure.
Exactly. Doug Collins wasn't. No matter how everybody wants to feel about him, I don't know if he was that bad as a coach.
But someone's got to be the fourth president. I'm going to
go two. I'm going to go two. Well, we're not going to do that. So I think I'm going to go two from the Eagles. So Doug, I think it might also be some of the bias from the Bulls era, Doug Collins as well, creeping in to my mind.
That's a different story. Yeah.
So I don't think I can throw him up there immediately. Obviously, I got to go Ryan Sandberg. Like
that's given.
I got to the issues that he had with Jimmy Rollins. Like, dude, you don't come in and pick a fight with J-Roll. Like, I shouldn't have to tell you that. Like me at 25 years old sitting here, I shouldn't have to tell you that. No matter, you're a Hall of Fame player, Rhino, but you're a terrible manager. Pete Mackanin was right there as well, but Rhino was definitely, he takes the cake for the Phillies. Paul Holmgren for the Flyers. Homer was a great GM. Homer was an awful bench boss. So Homer, as much good as you've done upstairs for the Flyers, your time behind the bench was not well done. And then we're gonna go to the Eagles, and I
don't you dare say Doug Peterson.
No.
Oh
I want, it's obviously Chip Kelly's up there. I think that's been literally. I think that's like the dead horse that just people beat when they are bored and they have nothing else to talk about.
Sounds right.
And number 4, I'm split between Ray Rhodes and Rich Kotite.
Listen, I didn't watch any of that. I mean, neither did you, right? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. I've done my history reports, I guess.
Sure. There's no way these guys were worse than Nick Sirianni. There's no way.
Kotite was pretty bad.
Listen, I gotta dive into the history books a little bit more, go into those archives.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me look at this. It says recent. You know what? It says recent Philadelphia history. So I think we might have very. So I'll throw Nick Sirianni up there. Ray Rhodes was. I mean, dude, that was almost 10 years ago. Didn't
he like have a good start?
Yeah, I mean that falls under the So come on. That's one of the starts under Jeffrey Lurie. Like the first year head coaches have always done well, but then the ending kind of encapsulates and he has a losing record overall he had a losing record overall as a Philadelphia head coach. So sticking with the recent Philadelphia history, I'll put Nick Sirianni up there just because like at this point I don't think any other word besides like incompetence can just be said. Like I don't like.
Whoa, okay, wait. We're talking about Ray Rhodes or Kotite?
No, for Sirianni.
Oh! I'm just pulling up here. Kotite went 36-28 with the Eagles. Went 10-6 his first year, 11-5 in his second year. 8-8 in his third year.
Let's look up why. Let's report back next week and let's look at why he got fired. I guess I'll throw Sirianni up there just for the recentness of this because that's in the question. It's incompetence, and I really hate to throw incompetence out there because he's a mid-30 something guy. Like this is his first head coaching job. I get it and all, but for recency bias, Nick Sirianni, man, you gotta get your act together. Max, you're back.
It's not even recency bias.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I went upstairs. My router was still on. I called Comcast and said I might need to reset all my stuff because of a recent service upgrade. And that did the trick. So weird time to deploy that, but here we are. I'm back.
You gotta love it. We're in our second question here, and Josh and I just gave our answers for the Mount Rushmore of terrible Philly head coaches. So I went with Paul Holmgren, Ryan Sandberg, Nick Sirianni, and Chip Kelly. And Josh, remind Max who you went with.
Sirianni, Kelly, Sandberg, Doug Collins.
Who you got?
I'm too flustered right now to do a full Mount Rushmore. I will say that I think recency bias would cloud this. Actually, I don't know. I was going to say Chip Kelly, but I mean, he really just went out on a sour note. Like, he had objective to success. So,
I thought so too. There's been good coaches in this city.
I waited 5 more minutes to plug my internet back in. I don't like this question. I'm abstaining from this.
Ooh, an abstain. Okay.
This is tough. Because
Sirianni goes on it though, right?
It feels like, but on one hand, like I kind of feel bad for him because he was never qualified to be a head coach. Like,
right, he wasn't.
You do the job you have.
I know, and that's not, you can't make that stipulation. So, yeah, not.
We'll report back next week. I want you to get some time to think about this, and we'll report back. Our next question here, gentlemen, and again, we're doing why the Flyers are our last hope, and that requires us to actually drudge down the rabbit hole of why we're in this hopeless state. The next meeting is against the kneecap-eating Lions. So, boys, and we saw what they just did against the Rams of Los Angeles. Do you expect to beat the Lions, Josh?
Absolutely not. I do not expect the Eagles to beat the Lions this Sunday. In fact, I will be breaking my own rule that I'm very adamant about this Sunday, and I will be putting money on the Detroit Lions money line this Sunday.
Money line?
Yes. Who needs the point spread? There are two things here. One, I love Dan Campbell, and I really think the Lions are not a good team, but a team who has been in almost every single game this year against really, really good teams. They should have beat the Ravens. They should have beat the Vikings, who I do think is the Vikings banners. I think they are a good team. You can reject or accept that as you wish. There was another one I'm forgetting here. Oh, the Rams. There you go. They really put up a fight against the Rams. This team, week in and week out, with a couple exceptions, have really given it to these good teams. The Eagles are a bad team, and the Lions are salivating all week thinking about this is finally our opportunity to get off the schneid and get our first win of the year. The Eagles, I have no idea what they're thinking. They seem like they're an absolute discombobulated mess. And the second thing here, there were 2 surprise onside kicks this weekend. Usually there's none, but for some reason there were 2 of this week. One, a calculated onside kick by the Lions, who saw a chance to wring the neck of the Rams, to really just jump on them. And in a game that they had no business being in, you got the revenge narrative. It was perfect. It was great. Then you have the Eagles, a team who was a 1-point underdog, basically a pick'em going to this game against the Raiders, a game where you're supposed to be competitive with Darren Waller out. And it almost seemed like just Nick Sirianni looked at this little sheet and said, fuck it. We have no chance winning this game. Let's onside kick it. No one's expecting this. And it just, it actually almost worked. But it was ridiculous. It was, quite frankly, embarrassing. And if anything is high school, the Julius Erving jersey, the numbers on the visor, that surprise onside kick to start halftime was just absolutely pathetic. The Lions, I really believe, are going to beat the Eagles this Sunday. And I hate to say it, a little bit of me is kind of hoping for it because I think that's going to open Jeffrey Lurie's eyes if they haven't been opened already.
Yeah, this was, if the Eagles had a winning record, this would be the definition of a trap game. This is something you really have to go into this week if you're the coaching staff and be like, guys, listen, like this is a team that thinks that they can beat you. No matter who the opponent is, they will think that they can go out and beat you. And if you let them in the game, this is going to suck.
But do you think that's being said at NovaCare this week? Because I don't feel like that's – I feel like this coaching staff is – the coaching staff, if anything, is going to be like, we're playing the Lions this week. Bounce back week. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
well, Those who underestimate Dan Campbell lose a couple limbs on the way back up. So I don't to the ignorant don't go the spoils. I don't know if there's a saying around that, but you better be prepared for your kneecaps to be bitten off. Max, do you expect to beat the Lions at all this weekend?
I mean, you kind of, how can you, right? Like, I mean, the Lions were simply outmatched last week. The Eagles don't have that excuse. The Raiders were missing their best player, and on top of that, their top running back got hurt a quarter and a half into the game, and they got torched by a backup tight end, a backup running back, and the John Gannon defense proved to yet again bend, and then break, repeatedly. And look, the Lions, they're a team that they don't hit big plays, right? Like the Lions aren't a team that you're going to get gashed by vertically, but I mean, they are the kind of team that is capable of like on their good moments, they're capable of putting together 8 to 10 play drives, because that's what they need to do to score touchdowns. And every professional team can score touchdowns, right? It just doesn't happen as frequently for the Lions or for the Texans or for the Eagles until it's meaningless and in the fourth quarter, right? So this is a matchup of two bad teams, right? Like how I feel uncomfortable saying I expect a bad team on the road to beat a bad team at home. So I do think that we are I think we're in an absolutely great spot for the Lions this week. Like, I don't think you could really ask for much more. There's kind of being on the schneid, and then there's kind of non-John Gruden level organizational turmoil, and I think that's kind of where the Eagles are. This has been, it's partially exacerbated by the fan base and the area that we are from. This has been just an absolute dumpster fire for the same exact reasons that we've been broken recording over for the last 5 weeks in a row at this point. So I don't know what else to say here other than you shouldn't expect the Eagles to beat the Lions, because you shouldn't be expecting them to beat anybody when they're not at home and they don't have a home field advantage to work off of.
Yeah, this is an easy. The line opened up at the Eagles being 3-point favorites going into Detroit. This is an easy Lions +3 here for me.
At least.
This is, you give me 3 points, I'll take it. I might even buy a point or two here. This is an easy Lions +3 here for me, boys. Let's see. All right, we got to talk about the Sixers.
One more thing before we get done with the Eagles.
Right,
we'd be remiss. Every person and every show who have covered the Eagles today had to bring up the stat, so we got to do it. The NFL record for completion percentage is 74.4 in a season. The Eagles are allowing a completion percentage of 74.4 this season. So basically, any quarterback, no matter what, against the Eagles is the most efficient passer of all time.
Nice.
No chance.
Wow.
And that's with the Sam Darnold interception game.
That's with the Sam Darnold game.
Yeah, and I mean, people want to blame Jonathan Gannon all you want, but
I blame Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, I blame Jonathan Gannon too, but at some point you got to look at the players, man. Like, that's Jim Schwartz did a lot.
That scheme is bad.
The scheme is terrible, but like, boys, there's guys out there on that field that are getting paid to play.
No, you're
Jim
right.
Schwartz did more with this defense. He didn't allow a record-setting completion percentage.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, we don't have to hash this, but I was just saying, like, look, is this a great defense? No, but this is Jonathan Gannon's fault. Like I'm not saying this is the best defense I've ever seen, but exactly what you just said, Banners. I mean, Jim Schwartz over there was doing much better with just about the same personnel. Arguably, this personnel might be better. Like, you actually have a secondary who can maybe try out man every now and then, but it's just the softest zone ever, and they just find all the gaps in it. It's too easy.
Oh boy, Sixers talk.
All right.
Early takes, early up and downs here, gentlemen. Let's get some of these early takes out after the Sixers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder yesterday. I don't know if you guys caught this. A lot is being made about Al Abdelnaby.
I did.
I did see
when him and Joel went down in a heap.
Not Al
yes, he expressed his concern for Joel Embiid and expressed his how do I want to say this? He did not really give Josh Giddey a second thought, to put that very kindly. But it's without that notwithstanding, let's get these early takes on the Sixers here flying. So, Max, light the candle here. What are some Sixers takes, ups and downs?
I'll start with the basketball-related one first. It is pretty evident through 3 games that the Sixers are going to need backcourt help if they want to have any kind of serious aspirations. I love the guys who are there currently, like as players and as what they are, but it's not championship caliber. It's not able to compete on that kind of level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want to say that our new play-by-play commentator is bad, but I certainly do miss Marc. I will try and do my best to reserve judgment and not let emotion cloud me, but I am not far enough to the season where I just naturally am like, this is something new and it sucks. So I will say that I'm missing Marc Zumoff, but it should not be written down in blood as law that the new commentator can't be as good. I do forget.
Josh, let these takes fly.
My first take, I guess, would be, let's start with a positive here. Let's get some positive in this episode. I like when you keep a team together and you see guys grow. Like, this is something that we haven't seen in Philadelphia a lot. It's just been a lot of knee-jerk reactions and not patient for guys to grow. It's really fun to see Furkan Korkmaz, actually linearly get better year after year. Are you kidding me, Manners? Are you still doubting the Turkish delight? I mean, that guy's a legitimate good role player in the NBA. Oh my gosh, nothing.
Some people can't accept the truth, Josh. It's okay.
That's all right. Tobias Harris looks noticeably better and different than he had before. This guy is a quicker trigger. He's pulling up from threes, things that I've been begging him to do, and things that have prevented me from getting in his corner. And it wasn't about the numbers. It was about watching the games and seeing him pull up and make decisions and go for the three as opposed to stepping in, which he had done the last 2 years. I'm seeing him go for the three now, and I absolutely love it. And I think Tyrese Maxey is just going to be a stud in the league. Plain and simple. He's not right now. I totally agree with you, Digits. If you want to win a championship this year, Tyrese Maxey can't be your one and only true point guard. But I think he's really good. And I like seeing growth. Also, love the moves, Niang and Drummond. Drummond, I think, can be a head case. And I think he might drive us a little crazy this year. But overall, I think he's a huge upgrade from Dwight Howard. Now, the concerning 2 takes I have. This isn't even a take. It's just a reminder. If you ever think Glenn Rivers will change, just stop. He's literally the same guy every single year, every single day, every single game. Guy is the only reason the Nets haven't won this year, and let's call it that. The take that concerns me a great amount is I think we are going to see a down year from Joel Embiid. And I don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing, but he looks noticeably slower. He looks a little bit gimpier, and he doesn't look as physical as I feel like he did last year. And there is, I understand that it's the first 3 games, and you got to get into basketball shape or mid-season form. I think this knee thing is going to be a problem, and I think he's going to miss significant time due to his knee at some point this season. And it's never going to be easy with this guy, right? We absolutely love him. He's one of the best players we've seen in recent memory in the city, in any sport. But I think if any year could be a down year, it might be this one. And look, if he's back for the playoffs, that's what really matters. But I'm nervous about him this year.
So what's crazy about that is he's 7th in the league in player efficiency rating.
Yeah.
While looking like that.
Right. And that's also a result of less minutes so far. And I'm cool with that. It's regular season. It doesn't mean as much. I just eye test. He's not the speediest player. He's not the most athletic player. He looks even slower than I've ever seen him before. And he's always, he looks even more hurt than he has before. And it's just scary to watch. We all have those binoculars on the microscope on Embiid and his health. And I can't help it. It looks a little bit worse than it does, especially to start a season.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if we're ever going to get anything more from Matisse on the offensive end.
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately, he's really started out the season looking lost on the offensive end. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a stretch of games, 12, 15 games coming up in the season where he's given you 9 to 13, 14 points a game where we're like, oh, okay, he has it figured out.
Yeah.
That's just I think it might be time to accept that just might be not his game, which in fact, like, it ipso facto limits him to a bench role. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, having an absolute defensive stopper come off the bench. But now you're talking about having to insert somebody like Shake or Niang into the starting offense, where
that's not a championship starting lineup.
It's not. The backcourt point, Max, you're like spot on. I love Tyrese. I think he's going to be a very, very good player in the next couple of years. But he's a second-year point guard, looking like a second-year point guard.
Yeah.
Now he's averaging like 16 points, 13, 16 points a game, something like that already. That's not bad. But he's also not the sharpest shooter in the world. I've always been on this train. I love Seth Curry.
Yeah,
like I love everything about this dude.
But we just don't have like a. I mean, obviously, you want an elite point guard, a guy who can obviously both score and create for others. And Maxey isn't good enough as a scorer to offset the fact that he is not good at all as a point guard standard for getting up.
Right. I need. Yeah. My last basketball point would be Tobias. He looks like the game has slowed down even more for him. He looks very, very comfortable, but I need a little bit more from him. He's only averaging like 18, 19 points a game. You are now the number 2. No matter if it was ever questioned in the past, you are next in line behind Joel Embiid. I need 23, 24 points out of you, dude. I'm sorry. It just needs to happen. So you've looked good. You've looked really good. Pulling the trigger, get down in the lane, getting physical. You need to step up even a little bit more. And I'm sorry if that's unrealistic, but you're getting paid a max contract and you're the number 2 on a playoff team behind Joel Embiid. It just needs to happen. I'm sorry if that's unrealistic, but it's the fact of the matter. And my last point on the Sixers is, Max, you brought it up. I think Kate's doing a very admirable job considering who she is following. That's it. It felt during the OKC game, it felt like Ala was the source of energy, which was never the case with Zoo. It was kind of. Now, don't get me wrong. Third game, still obviously feeling it out. Doing a very admirable job, but it's just, you're right, man. Zoo's one of a kind, and we're all missing him, wishing him well in his retirement. We're excited what we get with K. Scott, what the future going forward, but it's still something new, something we're getting used to. Any more hot takes on the Sixers here, boys? Before we let it, do you have one that you have in the holster that you want to let fly?
Nah, I'm gonna be talking about the Turkish Delight all season until you come around, Banners. That's the one.
Wasted breath, but okay. I have one that's gonna suck, but Ben Simmons is going to play for the Sixers this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like people are still like reprehensive to this point. Like, it's going to happen. Like the Joel Embiid comment, he's still our brother. It's going to happen. Resign yourself to accepting it. Hello.
Yeah, me too.
Got a little thunder out here.
Hey,
boys, it's time for our favorite segment.
Thank God. Let's get off
the
of
week.
This. Let's get out of the city.
Let's get out of here. Let's talk about the winners and losers, and we're gonna go around as we always do. We're gonna start off with losers first. Josh, your Week 7 NFL loser.
I mean, honestly, look, other than the Eagles, like that, the Eagles really might be my loser. But there's actually one team that somehow lost harder than the Eagles this week. I think it's the obvious one. It's the Carolina Panthers. Good Lord. And you know what? Yeah, I also lost because I love the Panthers -3 coming into this Sunday. Didn't even score a touchdown. They just got embarrassed by the Giants, who had like nobody healthy on their offense. Need I really even say more? I mean, we saw our guy, friend of the show, PJ Walker, get in, but that was really the only positive I had watching that Panthers game. So, yeah, you got embarrassed by the lowly Giants, and we were coming off of that Eagles win against the Panthers like, oh, man, you beat a real good team or a formidable team. No, they're not formidable. The Panthers are... Put a fork on them. Put a fork in the Panthers.
Yeah, they're about done. Max, your Week 7 NFL loser.
For me, I am going to have to say, I mean, it's got to be the Chiefs, right? Like,
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough to call. It's tough to call the Chiefs losers, but I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They put up 3 points on a minimal distance travel against a defense that has been getting gashed week to week by anybody that they play. Obviously, this was just kind of one of those, just kind of one of those weird, funky games, right? Like, if this happens again, then the Chiefs have major problems. But I do feel like in a month from now, we'll be like, holy shit, the Chiefs. Maybe when the Chiefs only put up 3 points against Tennessee. So I think that, this could be a turning point moment for the Chiefs if they want to salvage their season. They're 3-4 through 7 games. That's not something any of us were expecting at this point in the year. So I think that we're going to see a lot from the Chiefs. How deep can they dig? Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, deep playoff runs the 2 years prior to that as well. It is not easy to keep up that level of performance year in and year out, especially when they have been heavily relying on the same core of guys, and they have a lot of offensive line issues. This is what this game really showed to me. They had offensive line issues all year, but that offensive line for the Chiefs might prevent them from getting to the playoffs. Is what that game kind of opened my eyes to. So, putting up 3 points is the best offense in the league. That makes you a loser.
Yeah.
Da Bears. Justin Fields looked awful. The defense is full of aging veterans who are about on their last legs. Matt Nagy I cannot believe Matt Nagy won a Coach of the Year award. So that is the most mind-boggling thing to me. And
incredible to think about.
Him and Ryan Pace should be gone at the end of this year. Hopefully not till the end of this year, because there's still a team that one of us like that has to play them twice. So hopefully we're hanging on there. And then to make matters worse, Matt Nagy got diagnosed with COVID today. So just like insult to injury. That. Oh yeah, like it is. The Bears and Soldier Field, and they actually have plans being approved for a new stadium. Like everyone in Chicago is like, fuck, like no, do not give me a new stadium without giving me a new head coach and a new GM. And it's good luck to any Chicago Bears fans out there. I hear they have some great beers to drown out your misery out in Chicago. The Bears are the losers. We're gonna swing around here to our winners, and boys, I'm gonna go first because I don't want anybody to take this. It's the Bengals. It's got to be the Bengals. This team is, we said it last week, and we were all kind of walking the tightrope. Like, this could be a playoff contender. The Bengals are the real deal here, boys. Like, it's. Awesome. I'm still not, like, Zach Taylor was getting flack early on in the season. I'm not sure. I don't credit Zach Taylor for as much as I do Joe Burrow and just the players that this team has. But Jamar Chase just put up 201 yards on like 11 catches and a touchdown. There's been no receiver in NFL history that has put up as many yards through the first 7 games as this man has. Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Calvin Johnson, Terrell Owens. Go down the list. Go down the Mount Rushmore of wide receivers. None of them have done this. So, I mean, thinking back, dude, like that LSU offense with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase, like people knew it was good. People didn't know it was this good.
That's going to be the 2000-2001 Miami Hurricanes full roster to the NFL.
Oh yeah, like that is like Isaiah Simmons down in Arizona. Like that whole team is full of superstars. So like it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, it's yeah. Well, are you guys sold on Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
No, but I'm just saying for the visual of the picture, it's going to be another guy on the roster that was a first round.
He'll be serviceable for long enough to make the graphic.
Yeah. So the Bengals, my winner, they in a huge win over the Ravens to take the lead in the AFC North, 41-17. The Bengals, the real deal. I'm taking them as my winners. Hopefully, I didn't take anybody's there, but I had to. I
mean, you obviously did. I am the number one Joe Burrow fan that this podcast has ever seen. I'm a little slighted that I didn't have a chance to take it. So I'm going to butt in front of Josh and you seniority here to make sure that I'm not put in a position to potentially have to give credit to a certain team with terrible jerseys that played on Sunday night in the rain. With that being said, a big congratulations to Mac Jones and the New England Patriots for not only keeping their little brother in the locker, but for getting their first home win of their season and his career. Always a little bit sweeter when you can do it with a 50 burger and, absolutely embarrass your interdivision rivals. Breaking news, Bill Belichick owns the Jets. Congrats to the Patriots.
Breaking news, he also owns rookie quarterbacks. I don't know if you've heard that before.
Josh, who are you going with?
So, this kind of lackluster week for winners. I'm not going to lie. I mean, look, you call the Titans a winner, but I think the Chiefs are the loser. Bengals are the obvious one. I'm not going to give the Giants any credit. Do you know who won this week? The Texans front office. And I don't want to give them any credit for any of their shenanigans or the whole Deshaun Watson situation, but I can count. Let me count it real quick. Washington, the Broncos, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Eagles, 5 teams right there who are looking for a quarterback, and the market is as thick as ever for Deshaun Watson. So this week, I feel like you could stick a fork in a few quarterbacks, and I think the market for Deshaun Watson got even juicier this weekend. And you've heard all the tweets, you've seen all the reports sparking up. So yeah, they lost 5-31. Did they cover the spread? No, they did not cover the 20-point spread. But still, I think the Texans won this weekend just based on how horrible the quarterbacks were across the league with some of these fringe teams who had been in talks for Deshaun Watson recently.
Woof. And going off that right there, the Cardinals are 7-0 here, boys.
Ooh-wee.
Feels too easy to win when the best team in the league beats the worst team in the league at home. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You know what? Zach Ertz might be another week 7 winner.
That's a good point.
More
the longest touchdown.
Fun fact. This is not a real fact, by the way. More career yak in one game with the Cardinals than a career with the Eagles.
Hey, he scored his the longest touchdown of his career on the 49-yard pass from Kyler Murray. So
see, I didn't even know that, and that's absolutely is a no-brainer. Makes total sense to me.
So there we go. That's our Week 7 winners and losers here, boy. Rounding out the show. Word on the street, you guys know how it goes. If you don't, we're going to give you a phrase, a sentence, anything, and you're going to finish it off for us. They're on graphic. The Eagles starting QB will be blank. Josh.
Oh, boy. Don't ask me to show my work. Maybe I'm in such a doomsday mood that it's just this bad, but Matt Ryan.
What?
The Eagles get rid of Hurts. They go all in on getting a new quarterback. They miss out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, miss out on the Russell Wilson sweepstakes, don't like anyone in the draft, and kind of make this panicked move and trade a bucket of balls to get Matt Ryan to be a bridge quarterback for a year. I don't think they have Hurts. I don't think they draft someone. I don't think they get Wilson or Rodgers either, or Deshaun Watson. So
they're not going to get one of those. They're not going to get one of the marquee ones. I mean, do they have to trade for if Matt Ryan's a free agent after this year, I could see a scenario where that does work because this is supposed to be a bad QB class.
It's not great. Hey, you're bringing the Exton kid home, I guess.
Yeah. It's just this is the kind of Monday I've had, boys, where that's what just came to mind.
I mean,
that's
you must
tough,
have
dude.
Rocker to get that far down the rabbit hole of thought process. But I do see a realm where I guess that's possible because I mean, let's be realistic here. I guess, I don't want to do the Deshaun Watson thing because so much is still up in the air about that. Let's be honest with ourselves here, though. If he does get cleared of all wrongdoing and he's green lighted, somebody's going to go get Deshaun Watson. Out of the other names, Russell Wilson is a no. Aaron Rodgers is a no. Anyone who's serious about winning and has a say in where they go isn't going to come here. Deshaun Watson does have that. He has a no trade clause, so he's not going to end up here regardless. So I don't know. I could see it happen where maybe it's de facto veteran starter and 3rd or 4th round project QB as a backup, maybe suck again, and then hopefully the year after there's another golden boy that's a Heisman winner, quarterback for whatever school happens to beat Alabama or beat Ohio State or whatever the hell happens in college in 2 years from now. That's very interesting. Can I ask clarification on this, Mr. Scriptwriter? What Eagles starting QB when? At week 1 next year? When
week 1? Yeah, week 1 next year to start the season.
Okay,
going into the year.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm frazzled after after the Matt Ryan situation.
Yeah, dude, how far down a rabbit hole did you have to get Matt Ryan?
The worst part was I didn't put thought into this. This is kind of what just popped in and was like a quick, I ran the simulation a few times and I was like, not a rookie, not Hurts, not Russell Wilson, not Rodgers, Philadelphia narrative, crappy guy I don't want. Boom, Matt Ryan.
Woof, dude. Max, Eagles starting Q will be blank.
Oh my God.
Everyone's off now.
Really.
Matt Ryan
really
was the monkey wrench that you just threw right into the engine.
I'll say this in the spirit of the unexpected. I will say that for some of the reasons we just mentioned, that this class doesn't have some of the best QB prospects. See, I guess that does make sense, but this sounds crazy, but I feel like I can't even say it, but Tua Tagovailoa, I feel like there is a world
Tua replaces Jalen Hurts again.
The history has a strange way of repeating itself, my friend. There is a way that he is cut from the Dolphins after this year, and they have, I believe, even though we have their pick, I believe they still have some pick equity of their own.
Yeah, they got the Niners first round now.
And I can see some weird world where they do the veteran stopgap quarterback thing, and Tua's just like, I want out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would I stay here? Like, they agreed to part ways. I don't know. I think that's crazy, but you inspired me, Josh. Like, I can't think of a reasonable answer for this because it's not going to be Hurts, and I'm not just going to pick a random college quarterback, because if I do, I'm going to choose Spencer Rattler, because that seems perfect for the Eagles. A guy who was fallen from grace in the course of 6 weeks and still goes in the third round, like somehow, because he's a project QB at that point. So I don't know. I'll say for the fun that you have I'll give it 40% other, and then I'll split the other 30% between Tua and Spencer Rattler.
Good Lord.
I have 3 timelines in my head here. One of them is the Eagles making the UNC mistake, similar to Mitch Trubisky going Sam Howell, which would be awful. Set the franchise back another 5 years. Timeline number 2 is Jimmy Garoppolo and doing the kind of what they envisioned the Carson Wentz Jalen Hurts thing to be before getting rid of Wentz, and then finding a project QB, or even Jalen Hurts, letting him sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo and actually learning an actual offense instead of RPO.
Starts this year. He's not going to be like, hey, I'm cool with coming back and sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo.
Put it out there. But Jimmy Garoppolo ahead of somebody else. And then
I like the Garoppolo.
He's still got a bit of money on his deal, but I think it's expiring in a year or two. So you're not looking at completely breaking the bank.
I mean, they can got a rookie QB.
Yeah. And I had a third on my mind. I had a third timeline. I think the Jimmy G is just too good. It popped out of my head. So I'm going to go Jimmy Garoppolo. Actually, I kind of talked myself into that. Second word on the street question here, boys. The blank are going to surge in the second half of the NFL season. Max.
That's a good question. The second half surge, I mean, I think that in terms of a team that I think will maybe turn it around and maybe surprise a couple people, I do feel like your Vikings are a pretty obvious answer here. But I'll stick away from them so you can talk about them a little bit more. And from an AFC perspective, I think I'm going to go with the Colts. I hate to say it, but they have a really good running back and a really good running game. Their offensive line is the band's back together on that front. They have a really nice schedule, and the fact that they get to play the Jags and the Texans again. At least 2 more cumulative games against the 2 of them. They might have a third. I forget if they've played both of them once already. So yeah, I think the cards are on the table. They always play the Titans hard. They lost to them close 2 weeks ago. They'll probably beat them by some stupid way where they force 4 Ryan Tannehill fumbles or something like that when they played later on in the year. So I like, as much as I hate to say it, on one hand, because it is Carson Wentz, but on the other hand, it is Carson Wentz, and that helps the Eagles ultimately if they make a run for it. And I think pieces are kind of aligning for him.
I remembered who my third timeline was, and it was Jameis Winston after the Saints realized they're done with him. No comment, Max?
Sign me up.
I if anything, give me Jameis over Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta go here with Max. The Vikings and the Colts. Looking across the NFL, no other teams feel like they can surge. Like, it's all bottom feeders. Like, the Bears are gonna suck. We know the 49ers are not a great team. The Lions do not have talent. The Texans are god-awful. So are the Jets. The Dolphins are the biggest letdown in the NFL. The Chiefs need to work out the defense and the offensive line. The Washington football team is not good. Panthers are not good. Giants are not good. Like, these are the only two real answers for me. The Vikings have a really tough 4-game stretch coming up, but 2 of them are home games. Ask anybody across the NFL. The Vikings home atmosphere is one of, if not the best in the NFL. And the Colts seem to have gotten they've seemed to have gotten things right, at least for now, in their winning recipe. So I think those are the 2 teams that I'm looking at to step up going into the second half of the season. So I'm gonna have to agree with Max. Josh, who you got for the blank are going to surge in the second half?
2 teams I'm looking at are the Seahawks and the Saints. The Seahawks, to me, all depends on when Russell Wilson comes back, which, so I'm going to go with the Saints, actually, for my answer, because they've been really confusing this season. And on the note of Jameis Winston, I love Jameis Winston, right or wrong. I love Jameis Winston. I'm sorry. I feel dirty saying it. Just like, I unironically, love everything about the guy, even the W's, like him being an idiot at Florida State. But no, I really think the Saints actually have not a bad team, and especially with Michael Thomas maybe coming back sometime in the season. Look, the guy's a head case, but he's a darn good wide receiver. And you look at their schedule, they have 7 insultingly easy games on their schedule. Like, they play the Eagles, they play the Jets, they play the Panthers and Falcons multiple times. Like, they have a fast track to a wild card spot, and I think they're going to do it, barring something unforeseen.
You're looking at Jameis, though, who doesn't even have 1,000 passing yards yet.
Hey, he'll make I think he's making a dent tonight. I do. I like
all right,
Jameis.
yeah, the Seahawks, that defense is terrible.
There you go.
All right, the Seahawks and the Saints. Those are not 2 answers I expected right there.
I like going off the beaten path here.
I like it. Our last question, and this one should be an easy answer here, boys.
I've heard
I will be
things,
rooting.
Man.
I will be rooting for blank in the World Series. Anybody? Bueller?
I will be rooting for the Astros in the World
Thank
Series.
you. Correct, Max.
I'm over it.
I mean, it's probably just the Astros by default. It is kind of funny because all the baseball purists. I mean, for me, chaos is what makes me happy when it comes to baseball.
Yes.
And nothing would rile more panties than the Astros winning another World Series this year. So sign me up.
What am I going to do? Root for the Braves? Come on now.
Yeah.
No. Well, hey, I gotta go. I gotta go Astros for a different reason. Buddy of mine, Chaz McCormick, starting center fielder for the Astros.
Right.
Henderson's own, Millersville's own, Chaz McCormick. He's sitting something like 340 something in the playoffs.
Damn. No big deal.
So it's, hey, Chazzy, man, keep going.
There's a small part of me that, if you guys remember way back when we talked about the Phillies in a positive light all those months ago, I did tongue-in-cheek say this is probably going to lead to the Braves winning the division and then making the World Series.
I hate you.
Give me a date. I got to find that one.
That would be kind of cool if I called it that many months ago.
Oh, man, I cannot believe.
Yes, you can.
I kind of got to be happy for Freddie Freeman just because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, why could it – if it could be anybody – no, you know what? No, I won't say that because that includes the Mets. I was going to say anybody but the Braves, but anybody includes the Mets. God, this sucks. Like, the Dodgers, way to go out and get Trey Turner and Max Scherzer and still blow it. Like, golly, man. So go Astros just for our mental health here. We're getting into tap outs. Anybody want to lead off in tap outs? Josh, I know you look like you want to get something off your chest.
I got like a little silly thing here that a little bit, not to be preachy here, but everybody just be more practical in general. Like, don't buy new things. Why would you ever buy something new? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's always a used version for much cheaper. And then also, like, what made me think about this weekend was I'm over here playing the video game Madden 20, blow off a little steam after watching bad football everywhere I turn, want to play a little bit of video games. I'm over here playing Madden 20, happy as a clam, and I'm not spending $70 for the same game like an idiot, and then nowadays, every single sports video game, like 5 months into it being out, it's on the PlayStation Store for like $8 on a sale. Just be a little patient. Don't be dropping $60, $70 on these new games. You want to get a new car, just buy a used car. Like
somebody without a full-time job.
There's no need to be buying these new shiny items. Like, it's just there's a different route to save money and be just as happy. Be a little more practical, everyone.
Banners, it's
what that was?
The real world, isn't it?
I know that was like a real like. That was like a real tell me you're in college without telling me you're in college moment.
We might need to cut that.
Yeah, that's tough right there, buddy.
I'm loving it.
Max, you got anything you want me to go?
Honestly, I don't really have much this week. I feel like there was maybe something I was going to talk about, but it feels so far gone in the wind. This night, it feels like it's been hours long with like waiting to reset my internet and everything. I've just been like breezing through the last 30 minutes here. I have no idea what my tap out would have been. So I'll say this. It's definitely starting to get cold out. It's officially soup season. I'm going to be having some soup after the show tonight. So this is your friendly reminder that soup is a relatively low calorie and relatively filling dinner option should you need to keep it cheap and need to keep it quick.
Big soup guys here. We're soupmen here.
What kind of soup digits?
Probably just gonna rip some classic clam chowder, some good old fashioned TC.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think I only got that, or like it's like steak and potatoes or whatever it is. So we'll see. But that's like clam chowder plays a little bit easier sometimes. Like, gotta be in the mood for the steak and potatoes too.
So I'll say, if you're gonna go on vacation, budget yourself a day. Budget yourself a day when you get back, to just relax, kind of take the edge off. I got back probably late afternoon Saturday, and while I love my job, I love what I do. I love what I do with Inside the Birds every game day, 10 to 12 before the Eagles play with Jeff Mosher, Adam Kaplan, Greg Cosell, and Jason Avant. But I had to be at a casino at 6 o'clock a.m. to start setting up the day after traveling. Yeah, it was rough. It's walking in, and I'll tell you what, I don't know if I should give people credit, but like there are some like carry the craps table into the next day people there that I'm starting to get familiar with seeing.
The regulars?
Regulars might not be the best word. Yeah, it's something else. So if you're going to go on vacation, and I had a wonderful time, budget yourself a day between getting back from travel and going back to work. You will thank me later. But that's going to be it for us here on Trust the Process Live. If you weren't with us on the live broadcast, you can know where to catch us, wherever you get your podcast, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, anywhere in between. We'll see you next week, Philly. As always, we are brought to you by Mining Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly. See you next week, everybody.
Let's get some positive news next Monday.
Yeah, what a downer episode, man. Jesus.
Don't tell me what to do.